The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households, and those of you who are on CRN and just passively listening to this show, you need to get involved by downloading Paltalk, or you can just go to my blog, actually, GaryBaumgarten.com, and there's a little video widget there where you can see the show and hear the show as you are now, of course, on CRN. But if you click on it, you can start typing away during the show, and you can actually, if you have a microphone, you can raise your hand and we'll call on you, and you can talk to us about the issues that we're discussing. And if you have a camera, well, you can publish your Shana Poonams if you want to do that as well. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. For those of you who are partisan, I promise you that 50% of what I say will make you very happy, and 50% of what I have to say will piss you off. If you're not partisan, you can judge on your own on both of these issues. But if you are partisan, you're going to be agreeing with me on one issue and disagreeing with me on the other, or vice versa. Here's the deal. I want to talk about the interrogation techniques of the Bush administration, and I want to talk about two politicians, one a leader of the Democratic Party, the other a leader of the Republican Party. Let's start with the Democrat, because we'll say ladies first, although I know many of you say, like the old joke, that's not a lady, that's my wife. A lot of you Republicans would say, that's not a lady, that's Nancy Pelosi. I'm not saying it, I'm just saying I know some of you might say that. But I will say this about Nancy Pelosi. Liar, liar, pants on fire. When you said to us you knew nothing about the waterboarding, that you were never briefed by the CIA about the waterboarding, now you finally say, after standing by that point of view for how long, well, yeah, I was briefed about the waterboarding, but the CIA misled me. And I want proof of that. I want their notes about that intelligence briefing released to the public to prove that I'm right. Oh, your political mortality is a bigger issue than the safety of this United States of America? This was an intelligence briefing, Madam House Speaker. You know full well that the CIA is not going to release the notes of that meeting. By the way, the CIA did issue a statement which said we're not in the business of misleading Congress. And you know what? I believe it. I believe that she knew and she lied. And why did she lie? For political expediency. So she could say sanctimoniously, well, I didn't know about the waterboarding. It's those nasty Republicans and all that kind of stuff. Point fingers of blame at the Republicans when you knew and you did nothing about it. Zero, zilch, nada, cero. As the House Speaker, you carry a lot of weight, Ms. Pelosi, Mrs. Pelosi. You certainly could have written a letter to the CIA questioning. You certainly could have raised the issue at the briefing. You certainly could have raised the issue with the Vice President or the President of the United States. But what did you do? Nothing. Zero. Zip. And then you complain about the waterboarding that was employed by the Bush administration while interrogating terrorist suspects. And you say it was horrible. Well, you, through your silence, acquiesced to that, Ms. Pelosi. You're the reason people don't trust our politicians, Ms. Pelosi. Wait a minute. Don't think that I've gone off my rocker and suddenly become a Republican. I've got plenty of venom for the Republicans as well. I will stay nonpartisan. The more I do this show and the more I see what's going on, the more I feel comfortable in my skin as an independent. Now we got Dick Cheney, the former Vice President of the United States, saying, well, all these lives were saved through these interrogation techniques. I'm not going to use the word torture, these interrogation techniques. Maybe they were torture. I don't know. I wasn't there. I know that some of the techniques that were used are defined as torture. Maybe torture is the right word. But we discussed when he started, when he first opened his mouth. Do you remember nearly a month ago, 3 weeks ago? I don't know. We discussed on this show, maybe we should reassess our criticism of what Bush and Cheney did during their administration with regard to the interrogation of the prisoners, because Cheney comes out and says, well, you know, this current administration releases certain memos, but they don't release the memos that show that these interrogation techniques worked. And for 7.5 years following September the 11th, 2001, thanks to these interrogation techniques, we, the Republicans, Bush and Cheney, kept the homeland of the United States secure. There was not one more successful terrorist attack on our homeland. And, you know, when he said that, I said, you know, maybe there's something to these interrogation techniques, even though we had an former FBI agent who worked in intelligence here on this show live who said they don't work. They just tell you what you want to hear or what they think you want to hear in order to get you to stop torturing them, and they give you bad information. Worse than not giving you any information at all, they give you bad information. But he said no. We protected the American people for 7.5 years following the attacks of September 11th, 2001. Well, there is an exclusive guest essay today on WashingtonNote.com. There's a link to it from my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, written by Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, who was Chief of Staff for then Secretary of State Colin Powell. He is now a Pamela Harriman visiting professor at the College of William and Mary. And I'm going to paraphrase. You can read the full report. It's on my blog. There's a link to it from my blog. But I'm going to paraphrase what the colonel says. The colonel says, not so fast, Dick Cheney. The reality is that once those photographs, the first initial photographs of Abu Ghraib were leaked out, the CIA and its surrogates folded up their excessive interrogation tents. In other words, they stopped interrogating people using these torturous or excessive means of interrogation.